Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky on this second day of March. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
We'll get into all sorts of headlines from over the weekend, anywhere from NASCAR, the NFL. We'll talk some NCAA stuff. We've got some, it's Monday. Make You Laugh Monday. We'll have some comedians coming in at 8 o'clock ahead of their Monday open mic shows out at Firehouse, followed by some basketball talk with our boy Snacks. You can call or text in anytime at 661-842-2000.
Absolutely. There's a ton to talk about. Wrestling fans are absolutely beside themselves because the man in the crate the internet was right. It was Danhausen. And for those of you who have no idea who the hell Danhausen is, it's okay. I can break it down for you at some point in time during the show, or me and KG can do it tomorrow. He is actually a bigger name than you realize. I understand that it was kind of a joke character for most people, and that doesn't go over well when you're in the middle of a pay-per-view that was absolutely on fire at the time, and you kind of just derail it with a little bit of a joke. It's going to be a long summer for our friend Triple H because the booking decisions have continued to just be crazy.
I've heard nothing but positive out of it.
Really? Okay. I'm glad to hear that because a lot of people were texting me saying, who the F is this? This is the lamest thing on the planet. I mean, they booed him at the place for God's sake. And for everybody who said, oh, yeah, it's perfect. It's Chicago. It's Danhausen. Danhausen's from Detroit. It's not Chicago. So, again,
it's just weird timing, I thought.
Yeah, it was really weird timing.
I understand the entertainment side of it, so I get it. But I don't think anything would have really worked with the whole thing because the older crowd with this type of entertainment. I mean, we were used to it with McMahon.
Oh, yeah, no. And that's essentially what you're going to be getting with this guy. That's the kind of joke character that you're going to be getting is that comedy horror-esque. I like to say that he reminds me of the Addams Family.
Exactly.
It's very just goofy, geeky, like, he curses people, all that type of stuff. He's very good, but very evil. Again, I'll get into it at some point during the show. He's a very interesting character who's actually a huge draw on the indies. So much so that non-wrestling fans know who this guy is and will go watch him wrestle just solely because they know who Danhausen is.
And merch.
Yep. And that's essentially one of the major reasons why WWE made the decision of bringing him in. And I didn't even realize that his contract ended the day before Elimination Chamber, which makes all the sense in the world. But again, I think that the fans that I have seen that have been not up in arms about it, but more of just disappointed, it has to be because everybody was expecting a Chris Jericho or, when we got the Seth Rollins return, but they was expecting a little bit more from that, I guess. I don't know. I thought it was actually kind of fun, but it did derail it a little bit because, again, hearing any crowd boo a new superstar, it's not a good sign. But at the same time, this guy is entertaining enough where it could turn it around later on down the line. I think about a month or two from now when he's doing stuff with R-Truth, it's not going to matter. We're going to have some of the most entertaining promos that you have ever seen in the WWE. It's just going to be great.
I did meet the comedian coming in at 8 o'clock with Trevor, and I believe he's a wrestling fan as well. So I'm sure that might just open up a whole different conversation.
Yeah. So we'll get into all of that. Elimination Chamber as a whole, I thought was pretty good, though. It's one of my favorite PLEs every single year. I have 3 major winners and losers from it. And yes, I cheated a little bit. It's more than just 3, but you get what I mean. We'll get into that at some point. Let us start, though, my friend, with 2 of the more interesting stories out of the world of college sports in general. First and foremost, college football. We had a passing yesterday of a third-year sophomore, a Dominique Ponder from Colorado, a single car crash, from what we understand, and it took his life at 23. Coach Dion posted on social media yesterday praising the kid, talking about how much of a pleasure he was to coach and be around. And it's just one of those tragic stories where you see a guy who had a pretty good upside in his football career get ended. And again, from what we understand is that he was driving his Tesla. He lost control. They say speed might have been a problem, and he hit the center divider. And I believe the car even went tumbling down a ravine. So it was a very, very serious crash. And again, I don't say this as if I, thank God in that one, but I thank God it was only a single car crash because it could have been way worse. But again, another instance where I think we have to sit down some of these athletes and tell them just because you can buy a car that's that fast doesn't mean you should. And we've seen far too many professional athletes, really, not really much in the college area. I know the Bulldogs got in trouble for this not too long ago with their street racing, but it's going to be a growing problem with these guys making as much money as they do. Everybody wants the fancy sports car that goes super fast, or the lavish lifestyle that comes with being an athlete, and this does come with it. But do you think that we need to have a sit down conversation with a lot of these athletes and say, hey, you ain't that guy, you're not a NASCAR driver, let's bring back the speed a little bit? Doesn't mean you can't buy the car, but let's not drive so recklessly. I mean,
I mean, yeah. I mean, in general, if with anybody, really,
yeah,
not even just athletes, but I mean,
I just say
I
athletes.
didn't know the story enough to know if he was recklessly driving. I know he lost control of it, and I saw the pictures of after it got down into the embankment and caught fire. It was a gruesome
Yeah.
injury and gruesome wreck. I mean, but yeah, I mean, overall, I live where my backyard is a main street and there's racing almost every night.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, one of these nights, and not a month goes by on those one of these corners on White Lane or Wilson that somebody is not running into some type of brick wall,
Mhm.
or it is, people just drive reckless in general. So I mean, the more money, the quicker the cars, and people just need to slow the
Yep.
hell down. And I guess I'm the old guy, get off my lawn, slow down type guy. But
See, I
I
don't
mean,
think.
with a 16-year-old that's about to get his driver's license,
Yeah,
it
true.
makes me nervous.
Yeah, I don't think that's the thing though, but I don't think that's the case. I think this is just a common sense thing. It's like I was saying, like just because you could buy the fast car doesn't mean you can drive it correctly or control it. And that's the issue here, is that a lot of these guys buy these fast cars not knowing really how to properly drive them and drive them safely. And that's what leads to all of this. And the only reason I say athletes need to be sat down is because it seems like in the last 5 to 10 years, we've heard a slew of just incredible athletes do something stupid behind the wheel of a car, whether they get busted for it or not, whether you're Rasheed Rice or Henry Ruggs, or like I said earlier, the Bulldogs football team, or you're Brandon Ayuk and you just are seen speeding across the stadium way in whatever Corvette or whatever you bought. I feel like we need to have a sit down and say, look, guys, we get it. We know you want it, but let's be safe so not only your careers are preserved, but everybody's
Go rent
safety
out a
around you
track.
is. Yeah, exactly. Go to the Vegas Speedway or something and rent it out for a while if you want to go that fast. But at this point, it just I feel for the kid. I feel for his family. My prayers go out to the Ponder family as a whole. 23 years old is far too young, regardless. And again, I, like you, I don't know necessarily if he was driving super recklessly, but from what I have read from ESPN, was speed was a factor. They're investigating it as we speak, and we will probably know more information either by today or tomorrow. But it's an unfortunate passing that the Buffalo are going to have to deal with going into spring camp, which starts today, or was supposed to. I don't know if Coach Dion's going to come out and just give them the day because their teammate was just, taken off this planet. But at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if Dion just says, hey, we're going to take the day as a team and just heal from this. We'll come back on Tuesday. We'll get the spring training started. And all of the media and everything is going to be absolutely crashing down on this team for the next week, talking to them and asking what this kid was like, and if they knew anything or if they saw anything, or if there's any interesting additions to this story. So I'm sure you're going to be hearing Dominique Ponder a lot today. A kid who showed up in about 2 games last year. He was a transfer from Bethune-Cookman College a couple years ago. He spent the last 2 years with Colorado. And with the quarterback situation down there since Shador left, it was really up in the air who was going to be getting the starting spot to begin with. So he had a legitimate gripe here to work his way into the rotation. It's just another one of those instances again where a fantastic athlete was taken off this planet far too soon. So again, prayers go out to his family. I hope that everybody can take this as a lesson and just we all move on and praise this kid as the athlete he was. The other interesting story out of college, though, that I wanted to get to and get your thoughts on, my friend, and yes, me being a USC fan did kind of make this skewed a little bit, but USC in the basketball program, the men's basketball program, will be finishing out the season without their top scorer, Chad Baker Mazzara, after an interesting situation over the weekend. Mazzara took a hard foul while playing against Nebraska in the second half, went to the locker room, came out of the locker room, told the coach he can't go anymore. I assume due to injury, which he has been dealing with an injury, sporadically throughout February. And instead of sitting down with the rest of the team, he sat down next to injured star Rodney Rice and some fans out in the stands. Now, when you hear this at first, you think he went to the complete other side of the stadium and sat up in the bleachers. Not necessarily. There was a side, of chairs right there next to the bench. He really just sat right there, not parallel, but perpendicular to the actual bench. But the weird part about this to me was the answers as to why afterwards. Coach Musselman came forward and said the reason that he moved out there with the fans is because there was a shortage of chairs on the bench. I don't know about you or if you've played basketball before, but when your lead scorer needs a seat on the bench, and I don't care if he's hurt, I don't care if he's fouled out, I really don't. You make that freshman at the end of the bench move. So that's not a suitable excuse, at least to me, that there wasn't enough seats on the bench for this kid to sit down. The kid who's averaging 18 points a game for you, 18 and a half, technically. Regardless, it was a weird motion on Saturday when we didn't see him come back in the game in the first place. He sat away from the team. Sunday comes around and we find out, yeah, he's no longer with the team, apparently, at all. And he will no longer be playing for the USC Trojans. The transfer graduate student just took it upon himself, I guess, to pull away from the team and not be a part of whatever the ending of this Trojan season looks like. Now, granted, the Trojans probably are not going to be making the March Madness tournament. They've dropped the last 5, have 2 games left, one against Washington, and then again against UCLA. Highly doubt they beat UCLA without their top 2 scorers. So what left of this season really wasn't a whole ton to go off of anyway. So maybe he just sat there and said, you know what? My injury is pretty severe. I'm just going to step away from the team and get ready for the draft. But I don't understand where all of this went wrong. I mean, for those who don't know, Baker Mazzara is a transfer student. He's played for 5 schools in 6 years. He started at Duquesne, went to San Diego State, didn't do very well there. Then he went down to junior college for a year, came up to Auburn for 2 years, and then transferred to USC after Auburn's Final Four push last year to potentially get 1 more year under his belt before essentially, I would assume, going into the NBA. I just don't get where all of this went down. I don't know if this is an attitude situation like I was talking about last week. Is he pulling himself out just because he's saving himself for the draft? Does he see the writing on the wall and knows the Trojans ain't going to be pushing for anything championship-wise? So he just said, you know what? Season's over. Thanks, coach. Like, I really don't know what happened to all of this. And the USC has some weird ways of answering the media because they had a spokesperson speak to the Associate Press, a Kristen Keller, right? Yeah, this talking to was a text message to the Associate Press that just said, we have no further information on this time or at this time.
We will keep you updated.
Yeah, we will keep you updated. What? This is your top scorer on the men's basketball team. And he just up and leaves with 2 games left in the season. You have to have some sort of information here. Was there a spat between Musselman and Baker? Was there some sort of understanding that the season's over and he's just kind of wrapping it up? Because this makes him look terrible. And if this kid doesn't have an attitude issue and is just more looking at himself as, I have been injured, late into the season. This season's over anyway. I'm just saving myself. I think that's a different conversation than him saying, this team sucks. We've lost 11 games in the Big Ten, and we are not going to be making any type of run here. So I'm out. This was a mistake. You know what I mean? When you hear that somebody is no longer with the program, usually it's a negative reason why. And without that information from USC of why this is a thing, why this went up or came about, I have to assume that it's because of an attitude issue. I don't want to, but I have to. So I don't know what are your thoughts on this, my friend? I mean, I don't know if you got to see this. I know we've been trying to cover as much college basketball as possible, but it's kind of hard. And March Madness coming around the corner. But I saw this, and I know I'm a USC fan, but I always said this is wild.
Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be definitely a lot more coming out of this story, but it is, I mean, with the team that's wrapping up the season, I figured, let him play out the regular season, whether it's injured or not, keep him on the team, let him get drafted, whatever. If he gets drafted, if it'll be late second round or what, but this is definitely going to hurt his profile with teams looking at him until we get the rest of the story.
And it's just like the Darren Peterson situation. Like, if he's injured, just say he's injured and he can't play the rest of the season. Don't say he left the team.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be more to come out of this story because I don't know if USC is just trying to, get ahead of it and wait until the end of the season before they release an official statement. But with a slow news week, they're going to run with this story, and we're going to hear a lot more and probably stuff we don't want to hear about. But with a guy with 2 games left and a potential, draft around the corner, this is definitely going to hurt. I don't remember seeing a team or a player getting removed from the squad before the season ends, right before a draft.
Right. And honestly, it as much as I am saying USC probably has no chance of making the tournament, there's still a slight one. If they could win out and beat both Washington and UCLA, there is an argument that they could be a low seed. I doubt it, though, with the way the NCAA runs this thing and kind of puts teams in there until there's an expansion to 76 teams. Teams like this aren't going to make it. They're just not. But this kid had a career high year in points, rebounds, and assists. He was the best player on the court when Rodney got hurt. And again, this is a team that started out 11-0. And now we're 18-11. But I agree with you. To have your best player walk out of the tunnel during a pivotal game against the number 12 team in the nation, you were losing at the time. He looks at the coach and says, I'm done. Can't do it. And then instead of having a seat on the bench, he has to turn around and go sit with your other injured star, and who I assume is the trainer, because the lady looked over at him and says, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on?" Like, as if she knew him. So, and he answered her, so I'm assuming he knew her. But this entire thing was just weird for him not to sit with the rest of the team, regardless if you're hurt or not. And then the next day to hear he's just no longer with the team. He's just no longer with the Trojans. There's no answer to it. There's no reasoning behind it. The coach didn't even hint at it after the game. He just said, "Oh yeah, no, we just didn't have seats on the bench, so he went and sat with Rodney." What? Come on, coach. And the coach said that he had talked to a trainer and said there was no conversation about a potential injury for Baker Mazzara. What? So does that mean you talked to the trainer and said, was he hurt? And then and he told him, "Oh yeah, no, Mazzara was fine. He could have went back in." And then the next day they had a conversation and Mazzara said, "Yeah, F this, I'm out." But that's why I'm saying, what is the full story here? And if they're trying to preserve Mazzara for the draft, or at least preserve him from the media because of that kind of an answer, it's going to come out in the NBA anyway. You might as well tell us. Because if he plays for, I don't know, the Wizards, and they're 15-45, is he just going to sit there and pull out because
I quit?
They suck? Come on. So you have to tell us. You got to say it what it is. I hope and pray it's just this guy sat there and said, "Look, coach, my knee's been banged up all February. We're not going to make the tournament. Is it okay if I step away and get ready for the draft?" I'm all for that being an answer, although I don't like that as an answer. It's better than hearing, "Oh, we don't have an answer at this time."
Or we don't have enough chairs.
A player doesn't just walk away from a team without any answer. There was something going on, whether it just happened or it was weeks in the making. So share. Let us know who the hell or what the hell went wrong here for your top scorer to decide season's done. I don't have to play UCLA at the end of the season. Who cares? We got plenty of time to fix this. You guys can do it on your own. You don't need me. It's just ridiculous. It's so weird. But I can't wait to talk to our guy Snacks about this because I know he follows college ball and maybe he knows a little bit more about this than I. But I just saw this yesterday and said, how the hell did we go from him being injured and moved to a different bench to completely off the team? Not even here anymore. He's not even. I don't get it. I really don't. Let's take a break. We'll get into some combine news on the other side. There's been a handful of names that may be interesting risers, including a guy we talked about last week at the quarterback position. We'll let you know who that is right after the break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. Before we shift over to the NFL, this just came down from ESPN, but Mayweather apparently will be facing a kickboxer in an exhibition fight right before his match with Manny Pacquiao. This will take place in June. We talked about this with our guy Joel and Martin Espinoza from Warm Up Athletics last week. I personally don't see the big push for Mayweather's comeback. I really don't get it. The man's about to turn 50. And I get that he was a fantastic boxer. But if one slip up happens, if he loses to Manny or anybody really in this comeback and threatens that undefeated streak,
That's why they're all three booked as exhibitions.
I know. And that's what bothers me. If you're going to come back and out of full retirement, come out of full retirement. Just again, I don't think it's going to be that big of a
money.
I agree with you 110%. This is all a money grab, but it also
What
makes
happened?
me wonder. Exactly. That's the exact thing I was going to
What did you do?
Where'd all the money go? Like, I get it. Because I've heard this explained a million times. What happens to athletes' money, how they lose it, all that. I get it because everybody's pulling you this, that, and the other way. And when you're playing, obviously that money comes back almost hand over fist. But when you're not playing and you have to rely on your surplus for the rest of your life, it's going to be gone. Honestly, you know who I heard talk about this over the weekend? And honestly, he had a beautiful take on it, was Amon Shepard. Amon Shepard went on Club Shay Shay and pretty much talked about his entire financial situation and how they handled it. What they did is they didn't even, or his financial advisor didn't even tell Iman how much he was actually making during his career. He would take 50% of it automatically right off top and put it away. And he would give Iman the other 50 that he could use for whatever the hell he wanted to.
Give it up.
It's genius.
Yep.
You get to keep half of everything that you gained throughout your entire career, and you don't even know it's there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've heard from, former players that said they didn't touch their NFL salaries until they just put it away. And that's why it's so important, if you're making that type of money, to have a financial planner and have a retirement plan.
Shoot, if you're not making that kind of money, go find a financial planner and get a financial plan. The minute I have any kind of surplus of money, I am either calling you guys at Money Wise or my guy Daniel Petrie.
Like,
I have no idea.
Floyd need money, Mayweather now.
Absolutely.
I've never seen a fighter like this that's been retired almost 50 years old. Now he's got 3 fights on the books. Something's going on.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. Like, did you go bankrupt or something? Did Vegas take all your money, Floyd? What is happening?
The WWE didn't need you?
Apparently, no, they really didn't. They didn't, though. Let's be honest. That wasn't going to work.
He'll find his way somewhere in entertainment.
True.
Well, I don't know if it'll be a game show or what, but something will happen because this is definitely, there's more to the story. So again,
you think this is more like a bridge for Floyd to find something outside of the boxing ring?
Keep him in people's minds.
True.
I think it'll work out into something.
And honestly, I've heard more about boxing in the last week or two since this announcement than you hear ever.
Exactly.
And maybe that's what they really meant by boxing needs this, because not a lot of people are talking about boxing anymore. As much as we love to watch guys like Canelo or Ryan Garcia or any of these guys dominate Triple G, it just hasn't been the same sport. It really isn't. So maybe Floyd coming back is what they mean by it's saving boxing. Personally, I don't see it. I think our guy Joel in here is one of the best that is in the entire damn country. And guys like him deserve the spotlight when it's their turn. When guys are in their 50s and are coming back and taking that spotlight, it bugs me. I'm sorry. Let's move on before we get too far down this route. The NFL Combine was over the weekend. It ended on Sunday. I got a list of names here of risers, essentially, that showed out and showed up throughout the entire weekend. Any specific names that you saw over the weekend, though, my friend, that you wanted to highlight?
I do not watch the Combine.
You don't? Okay. Well, one guy that I know that you were interested in, that we were talking about last week, that had a fantastic showing in the quarterback area was actually Garrett Nussmeier. Believe it or not. And everybody's been talking about who is the QB3. We all know who QB1 is. That's Fernando Mendoza. We all know who QB2 is at this point. It's Ty Simpson. Who is the third best quarterback in this draft class? That is what everybody's been talking about. Is it Garrett Nussmeier? Is it Carson Beck? Is it Drew Aller at Penn State? Is it one of these lesser known quarterbacks that we haven't seen yet? Personally, I think it's going to be Mateer out of Oklahoma, but that's just me. But Garrett Nussmeier apparently had a fantastic showing over the weekend, showed some fantastic zip on the ball, especially to throwing to wide receivers that he has never practiced with, which is one of the things that I find interesting about the combine, especially at the quarterback position. I think everybody kind of forgets how important the chemistry needs to be between a quarterback and a wide receiver for the quarterback to really look as good as he should, especially if you're trying to showcase his talents. So for a quarterback like Garrett, who had no wide receiver really that he was used to, come out and sling it the way he does, I think that's really going to catapult him into that QB3 area. Does that mean he's going to become a first round quarterback selection? Probably not. I would expect maybe 2 quarterbacks to go in the first round this year, one obviously being the number 1 overall pick. But other names that I saw that were highlighted all weekend, we talked about this guy as well. Jeremiah Love dropping a 4.36 40 time. It's faster than Jonathan Taylor, and he's bigger than Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, this is going to be probably the best running back prospect. He's going to be better than Genty. I'm just going to come out and say it. He's going to be better than Ashton Genty. And everybody was gushing over Genty last year. Jeremiah Love is a freak of nature. I hope and pray, as I did last week, the Chiefs don't find a way to pick this guy up at 9. Because if you put him next to Patrick Mahomes, you want to talk about a dynasty that'll never quit. It'll be the Kansas City Chiefs. I hate it. I hate thinking about it. But here's the thing. It's a possibility, and it's a growing possibility with every single day, especially when a running back like this just runs people over. And I don't mean that literally. I mean that just in every statistical category. And by the way, when he went out there and ran routes, they said he just looked like a beefed up wide receiver, which means he runs routes just as good as a receiver. He has hands just as good as a receiver. It's going to be really, really, really tough for any defense to step up and beat this guy or really just find a way to slow him down as a whole. There were a handful of linemen that people were talking about. Monroe Freeling from Georgia seems like he's going to be the second best tackle in the draft. There's another one in there, Spencer Fanow from Utah, although he has smaller arms than people are talking about, or than people like. They say his athleticism is good enough to push him into that top 20 area as well. But one of the biggest things that I had to bring up to you, my friend, because this is just a talking point that kept coming up. We all hear how good these linebackers and D linemen are. And Peter Schrager even came out and said the number 2 draft pick this year is going to be interesting because there's really no slam dunk pick as there usually is, as we've seen the last couple of years. First guy usually gets their quarterback. Second guy is usually the slam dunk pick that he's going to be a pretty good star later on down his career.
Yeah, usually the best defender, best offensive lineman.
Exactly. Caleb Downs comes to mind right now. We talked about him last week. I know everybody's been talking about Baines from the U. There are some big names, but Peter Schrager says that there's really no lock for that pick. It really is just going to be a toss-up of whoever the Jets decide they want more. But an interesting stat line came up while the D linemen were going in the first day that I really didn't consider. This is the shortest. This D-line group has the shortest arms of any other D-line group in the draft since 2003. Now, I know everybody's like, really? That's what you're focusing on? We're really going to focus on that. Well, here's the stat that I didn't know. No defensive lineman with sub 31-inch arms since 1999 has had a season of over 10 sacks. And guess where each and every one of these guys' arm lengths are set at? 31. So, again, although it seems like one of those tinfoil hat situations where you're saying, really, you're going to focus on that? These measurables do matter at some point. And I find it really hard to believe that this is a coincidence that no defensive lineman, not a single one, that has under 31-inch arms has gotten 10 plus sacks in a season since 1999. Does that put any concern in your mind as it did mine, my friend? Because I mean, again, that to me at least means that there's going to be some sort of limitations to some of these defensive players.
I mean, there's always going to be some crazy ass stats like that, or some
Crazy thought
yeah.
process.
I mean, I'd try to look at what will fit in the system, and it's the same thing like the running back you were just talking about. I've heard members of Cleveland and Washington and all of them liking him, and it depends. I mean, you brought up Genty. I think Genty would have had a hell of a season with a team that has an offensive line.
True.
And I just think it, just like anything else that we talk about in the draft, it really comes down to how they fit in the system.
True.
And I think if he lands in Kansas City, it's a marriage made in heaven, man. It is exactly the fit that it would be perfect for. But I'm hoping and praying teams like maybe Tennessee or Cleveland or Washington step in and trade out maybe, or even pick them up. But when it comes down to the sizes, I mean, these guys are all freak athletes. And I think if it fits the system and it's with the right coordinator, you never know.
I'm looking at the stats that I wrote down, and the one group that I forgot to mention, or I guess it should be an entire group, but it's really one group. This draft class is going to have really good secondary players. So if you're a team that's looking for a corner or a safety, this is the draft class that you really want to get heavy with. They're all fast as hell. If I remember correctly, each and every corner was under a 4.5, and safeties were just as fast. This is actually the fastest safety group since 2003 as well. So there's going to be a lot of defensive secondary players that are going to get noticed in this draft class.
Ton of receivers.
But I agree with that as well. But again, I saw that, and for some reason, it was just a massive red flag to me. Maybe it's just because since 1999. Maybe that's why. And it's been 26 years since we've had somebody of that length or arm length actually have a substantial good season as a football player, at least as a defensive end. But that makes me really question some of these guys like Baines or Reese or any of these edge rushers that are coming out in this draft class. Because again, I have to agree with Peter Schrager. I can't see any of these guys, maybe outside of a Caleb Downs, being a slam dunk choice. I really can't. There's a lot of names that sound great.
Yeah, after we talked about it last week, I got into more of the NFL Live and his breakdown, and he said the same thing.
Yeah.
He said Downs is the only one that is for sure a grand slam and can step in.
But even then, taking him at number 2?
Exactly. And the team. I mean, you throw him in the Jets defense, which is depleted and getting younger.
What we could have seen, too, if they didn't trade away Sauce Gardner. If you put Sauce and Caleb Downs next to each other, that could have been really fun to see. But, yeah, no.
And then you're throwing him out there by himself.
The more and more I think about it, the more I'm just, maybe even Jeremiah Love. I guess Jeremiah Love would also be the other slam dunk choice, but the Jets aren't going to take a running back at number 2, especially if they plan to keep Breece Hall. So it's just one of those.
It also brings up the same situation like people like Minkah Fitzpatrick is probably on their way out because they have a lucrative deal with 1 year left on their contract.
Yep.
And with a young draft with a ton of secondary help.
And let's be honest, how much more upside does Minkah really have?
Exactly.
He came in as a huge prospect and has lived up to it to a point, but I don't see very much more ceiling left for him to jump for.
And you can get a young guy on a rookie deal that will fill 4 or 5 years that you don't have to deal with. Okay, I'll take that. Clean up some salary cap money. And the Jets were the first team that is linked to Minkah. So I was like, okay, maybe they do. Maybe they do bring in that safety and trade for Minkah and, try to pick up that secondary. Aaron Glenn wants it. So it's going to be that. This is the best part of the offseason is trying to find out where these guys are and then post draft. Okay, now how are they going to address these other holes in free agency? And we heard more about that during the weekend with a couple running backs names getting brought up. Not only Montgomery out in Detroit, which they reported, which was Schefter that reported it the first time, and he immediately went out to Twitter and be like, "What?" Like I said, "What?" I said, "What?"
I love the way he phrased it too. He says, "Oh, really? Did Mont tell you that?"
Yeah,
like,
I told you so. Somebody told you that.
But again, it's Adam Schefter, so everybody just assumes
Yeah,
that
he's right.
he's got something. But again, Shefty doesn't necessarily talk to the player directly. Now, sometimes he does, I'm sure, but most of the time he just has a connection inside the team that's willing to tell him whatever the hell he's
Mhm.
asking. So maybe that's just what the team believes. The team is starting to feel like Montgomery doesn't want to be there.
And he's got a year left on his deal. Do they want to keep him around? I know they've got plenty of holes to fill and
Yeah.
contracts to restructure, but it was another one was Aaron Jones out in Minnesota.
This one
I
I
don't
kind
think
of
that one is big surprise.
no, because again, he was trying to keep his career as a starting running back going with the Minnesota Vikings, and even while he was there, they were finding ways to really go to the next guy. So I like Aaron Jones. I've always liked Aaron Jones, but I just don't know if he's got the oomph anymore to be at least a solo running back in
You
that
can get the
backfield.
vet minimum somewhere else, and
Exactly.
I really like the kid they have now. What they got from Frisco.
Mason.
I think Mason's has a high upside, and unless they can find a way to cut ties and then bring him back for the vet minimum, but with him and Hargrave getting released, I mean that's close to $20 million in the cap space.
Absolutely.
And I'm hearing a lot of whispers that the Vikings may be done with JJ.
That's what I hear
I'm
as
like,
well, which
okay.
means maybe some movement in the draft to jump up for a Ty Simpson or a quarterback that they think they could build around. I doubt you make a move for Fernando Mendoza. Although for some reason, I don't know who it was yesterday on this radio channel, but somebody was floating the idea of the Falcons sending Michael Penix to the Raiders for Fernando Mendoza. And I said, yeah, as if Tom would it ever accept that. Like, I'm a Falcons fan, and I'll say it. That is never going to be on the ledger. And not because I don't believe in Michael, but you're going to sit there and tell me that the Raiders believe that Michael Penix would be a better choice than a Fernando Mendoza? Nah.
Yeah.
No way in hell. Not anywhere.
And
No.
see, I heard Tua and Kyler Murray and some of these other
Right.
guys with fresh starts with the quarterback kind of coach. Maybe.
Maybe I could see maybe a Kyler because we forget how accurate Kyler was at the peak of his career. He was an MVP candidate. And
The thing is, neither of them can read defenses. So good
no,
luck.
yeah, and one's got hot feet while the other one just gets destroyed by defensive
Right.
players. So,
And you really think Flores is going to want to be in that same building with Tua again?
it's true, you know what? And that's a damn good point. That is a
It's like, go ahead.
damn good
I
point.
don't see it happening.
Well, that's why I think it's more on the possibility sheet that they move up in the draft and maybe pick up a Ty Simpson or a Garrett Nussmeier, as we've talked about. We've seen crazier situations happen. I mean, the Denver Broncos just a couple years ago moved up big time to go get Bo Nix, which nobody was expecting to even be in the top 10, let alone possibly even in the top or first round of the draft. So maybe the Vikings make a decision, they move up, and they decide to take one of these younger guys as well.
Or maybe we finally get Aaron Rodgers in Minnesota.
I hope not. But Aaron's going to be looking to do something as well. I don't think he's going to retire. The longer this waits, the more likely I think that he is going to retire. Or I'm sorry, he's going to stay and not retire, especially probably sitting in there in the back of his head that the last pass he threw was a pick six. I don't think he wants to end his career on that either. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll get to some of these stories. Maybe I'll be able to break down who the hell Danhausen is for you wrestling fans. But we got guests coming up at the 8 o'clock hour as well. Our friend Trevor and Made You Laugh Mondays will be here at 8. And then our guy Snacks at 8:30 talking all things basketball. I cannot wait to talk to him about this USC situation, plus all things that are going on in the NBA. The Spurs had an undefeated February. And unfortunately for Sparky's Bulls, it was kind of the other way around. But
It's all right. We beat Milwaukee.
there's a possibility both of those teams are headed towards where they want, though. So we'll talk about that with our guy Snacks. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
Before we get out of the NFL, I wanted to bounce this story off of you.
What's up?
Actually, two of them real quick. We have time.
Yeah.
One is the big flag football fanatics thing that Brady's putting on.
Yeah.
Now there's big flags out because it's supposed to be in Saudi Arabia and all the war stuff going on.
Red flags.
Yeah, red flags. Yes, nicely done. But now they're talking about moving it to LA.
See, I honestly thought they should have put it in a place like LA to begin with, especially if most of the athletes are going to be
They know
from
where the money is.
America. No, I know. And again, Fanatics and Saudi Arabia do a lot of stuff together. This entire thing, though, is just kind of weird. And I do think everybody is kind of tying this whole Tom Brady calling wrestling cute thing in on a lot of different angles. A lot of people are saying he's going to have something to do with WrestleMania, especially now with Randy Orton saying that he would love to RKO Tom Brady and he's going to be in a title match now thanks to the Elimination Chamber. It's in Vegas. I mean, a lot of things do line up that way. I think he's just that's legitimately how he feels about it. And again, I don't mean to make this sound negative, but it does come from a place of ignorance, obviously.
Yeah, if you don't understand it, you shouldn't comment on it.
Yeah, exactly. But I really didn't care if they did this in Saudi Arabia or in LA. It doesn't hurt me any. I'm not going.
I'm not watching it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to
interest.
find it just to say I watched it and at least tried to figure out what this was all about.
I'm trying to pull myself to watch it in the Olympics.
This is just a weird. Yeah, that's a good point too. But this is just a weird play by Fanatics to kind of win fans over, especially after the abysmal work they've been doing in terms of fronting these jerseys and stuff like that to everybody. I know Nike is running into the same problem, especially when it comes to the Team USA hockey jerseys.
I mean, just talking the business side of it, I've heard from wrestlers, I've heard from football players, I've heard from Dave Chappelle on his new special.
Yeah,
he talks about. I mean,
I forgot.
I work for money, and I work for money, and if they're going to pay me more, I'll go anywhere.
Yeah,
I'll do a comedy special in your front lawn if you're paying me right. And I get it. It's the business side.
Yeah, and again, especially when it comes to certain organizations doing it, they need the money to pay off debts and whatnot. But I don't know. Fanatics, I think, is just doing this just because there's a draw to it, right? Like we all get to see these athletes all the time. So a flag football game with Tom Brady and Logan Paul, although, yes, there's a lot of Americans that'll buy tickets to that. I don't think there's as many Americans that'll rush to the ticket booths as there are Saudi Arabian people because they don't get to see the superstars all the time. And that's really what they pay for. Like, especially when or what we've seen with the WWE. Saudi Arabian people want the legends. They want the people they watched on television all the time. And it's because they don't get that. They don't get to see them ever. So I think that's more of what the draw is, or at least what Fanatics was leaning on with all of this. Wouldn't surprise me, though, if they make an executive decision, though, in the next couple days and decide, yeah, we're moving this to LA.
Because it was supposed to be in the next week or so, March 21st.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's supposed to be in the next 2 weeks. And have we ever figured out if Oba and all them are supposed to be part of this as well?
No clue.
I don't think so. I think the only one that actually got invited was Logan. And that's probably just because he's an influencer more than
and they wanted Cena.
Like, you ain't going to get Cena to play football? Are you kidding?
Saudi Arabia,
you got a better chance at Dwayne The Rock Johnson coming out of football retirement to come play. Nah, that ain't happening. The GOAT needs to, stay healthy. We don't need him playing football with Tom Brady.
And the other one I brought up is the Rams. Now they're trying to talk with the NFLPA and the league to try to get a 40-second review timer for officiating upstairs or whatever. It comes from New York where they go.
So 40 seconds to review the play?
From the play.
So 40 seconds from the play.
The ticker starts and you got 40 seconds to
review
it.
I like that. If you need time to figure it. Okay, wait, actually, hold on. Let me tighten myself up here so I fully understand. So it's 40 seconds from when you throw the flag down and they have 40 seconds to review that play, or it's 40 seconds from when that play is done.
When the play ends.
For somebody to throw the flag in general?
40 seconds, just like a team. They have to wait until the next play to start.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be 40 seconds from the ref, or if the next play snaps. They can't just stop play, and they got a 40-second timer. They can't just take their time like they did in the playoff game with the 2-point conversion. And that's what it started with. But now they want a timer.
I see why they would want a timer, but is that really the issue? I don't think that the time frame for challenges is really what everybody's been griping about.
Bring the robots.
Hey, we are headed straight for it, man. And you know what's funny is people are blowing up with that on TikTok right now. Thank you again for everybody who follows us on TikTok. We appreciate you, and I do read every single comment. One person even said, "Let's just let the fans have one challenge." Why not? If you're gonna let the officials do it, we should have a challenge too. I agree with them 100%. Let's take a break. We got our guests on the other side, Trevor Chavez and Made You Laugh Mondays, as well as snacks on the other side of that. This is the Early Bird Special. Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. And it's time to talk to our friends over at Made You Laugh Mondays.
Hey guys, how you doing? Glad to be back.
Good to see you, even though you made the switcheroo on us last week.
Tyson wanted to switch things up a little bit. I don't know why he does these things from the chain.
He missed being on the show.
I think that's probably
pulled the 3-card Monty and said, nope. But it's all good.
Like, no, I don't want to not see them for 3 weeks. Please switch with me.
He gets anxious when other people have attention for too long.
Absolutely does. I could tell that.
Yeah.
He had Greg G. Williams in here last week, and I felt bad because we pretty much were just talking to Greg the whole time, and Tyson was just sitting there. Yeah, and I was just like, I feel bad. Like the one time Tyson was talking, and we could barely even hear him because Greg was talking too. So
yeah.
it was like, oh.
But Tyson.
Trevor, please introduce your guest who's in here with you today.
Here with me today, took a little break off from the scene, but came back and impressed me right out of the gate. One of my favorite local comics in the scene, guys. This is Andrew Idell.
Thank you.
He says a little break. I took 12 years off of comedy.
12 years off. My God. Why'd you take the time off?
I had a lot of stuff. I had some health issues, but I also I lived in Porterville. The closest place to do comedy at the time, well, I didn't even come to Bakersfield. I went to Fresno. So I was driving an hour and a half to do 5 minutes 3 times a week for no money.
Wow.
And
it's commitment, baby.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now, thankfully, I live in a city that has a cool comedy scene. The Well Comedy Club's amazing.
Absolutely.
All that stuff. So I jumped on it.
And what made you make the transition back? Just because you missed it so much, or?
Yeah, I kind of just started getting the itch again, and I would watch stuff, and then I knew the Well was coming back, and I knew that there's a decent scene in here, and the scene's actually better than I thought.
You obviously had the connections to get in.
Well, I hadn't met this guy yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, this is a guy that I didn't know
my
him.
Existence yet.
This was one of those cases that I love where you see a comic at an open mic and you're like, who's that?
Mm-hmm.
He's doing some good stuff. I gotta go hang out with that guy. And Andrew and I started talking and just became fast friends.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. For people who haven't seen your comedy, how would you describe it?
It's hard to explain. I'm pretty conventional. I'd say a lot of people don't like to say that about themselves, but I think I have unique angles on certain things, but I am very much, you talk to me for 5 minutes, you can kind of see how I am on stage. I'm very much myself on stage. I'm getting more personal as time goes by. I started off I have my first 3 jokes were about movies. You know?
He's observational humor and pivoting towards the personal stuff, but his observational humor is great.
Okay.
I've his takes on fish tanks and Willy Wonka are something to behold.
Yeah,
that's an interesting comparison.
Well, I have
two different jokes. Sorry.
Yeah,
not the same joke.
I was gonna say, I thought that's the same joke.
I just recently wrote a joke about how I don't understand people owning fish. It's a weird thing. It's the only line that I say, because I don't want to do my bit. But having a fish is like having a painting on your wall that can feel loneliness, because it's just it's like having a decoration. It's a living decoration in your house. It can't be your friend. It's a lamp that you feed. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, yeah, we're getting more and more towards me just talking about real life, which has been a lot of fun, and everybody's been really cool. Everybody, you've met a lot of the comics, and I'm sure you have as well. Everybody's cool in the scene. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? Definitely.
And very welcoming too, from what I can tell. I mean, everybody enjoys being around each other. Obviously, Trevor's looking for best friends every day.
Yeah.
And meets people every single open mic.
Yeah. So. If you know Trevor for a couple weeks, you start to get sick of him. So he goes to the new comics around.
That was the real reason why we told Tyson, hey, make a switch.
Yeah.
We've seen it for 4 weeks in a row.
There's
Tyson had to come back.
Yeah, there's only so many times you
I
can.
love Trevor, man.
Thanks, guys. But again, there's only I feel like he's hit on something. There's only so many times the comics can watch me just spill my purse on stage and just talk about my personal life before they're like, all right, come on, dude, that's enough.
We get it, dude. You're weird.
Well, like you said, you took 12 years off. I mean, how old were you when you started? And I mean, how did you even get started?
Yeah, I was 21 when I started. I was like a 21 turd with braces, basically. And then I worked at a delivering sandwiches, and I would listen to stand up on Pandora driving around, and I eventually was like, oh wow, I forgot people can do this.
Right.
You know, it's it's almost like it was the unclimbable mountain for a long time. And then when I started looking stuff up, and I was like, oh, they do this in Fresno. So I started doing that. I started going to open mics. It was actually like, I'm kind of proud of myself for doing it at that age. Like I'm driving to the city where I knew nobody and like just going into the scene and stuff. And I wasn't great. Like I'm a lot better now after 2 months being back than I was back then because I'm older and I have better experience. But like, it was a crazy time. And so I had a lot of fun. I had to stop, and I kick myself a little bit, but I don't kick myself too much. I'm just glad I'm back.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. Who were you listening to that kind of inspired you to get started?
Oh man, Bill Burr was really big at the time.
Love Bill Burr.
I really like Doug Stanhope a lot, and there was even like back then it was like there were a lot of like nerd comedians coming out like Kumail Nanjiani and Pete Holmes and Chris Hardwick and all these type of guys. But I was super into that. Norm Macdonald is I think is the funniest guy who ever lived.
You know, Chris Hardwick had a long stretch there too, where he was starting to get big, especially with the television shows that he was getting. And then obviously we know what happened, but I mean, you're right. Like the nerd comic really had a resurgence in like the 2010s.
Yeah. LA was killing it at the time. And they had this place called Nerd Melt. It was like a comic shop with comedy in the back, and they would do big shows there and stuff. So it was like Paul F. Tompkins and a bunch of those guys that would go there.
Yeah, I think Patton Oswalt and the Largo, that was at its heyday at that point.
Oh yeah, so
that's true.
That those guys were pretty. Hannibal Buress, one of his
Hannibal.
I
forget about that.
Kyle Kinane put out one of his first specials. Then there were just a lot of guys that I got really obsessed with, and I grew up like before as a kid. I was like, I liked sports. I loved baseball and I liked like old comedy. So I would watch like old black and white comedy. I watched Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy, like Red Skelton, like all these things. I was obsessed with old comedy and Don Knotts, like all that stuff. I was a weird kid, guys.
Yeah.
But
I mean, wrong with the Andy Griffith Show?
I got into comedy when I was real young. I would take my dad's, pre-recorded and all his VHSs and I would stack them. And I didn't know if it was going to be, Eddie Murphy Raw or to the point where it was like the Rodney Dangerfield specials where he did almost like an open mic where he'd bring in 5-6 comedians. And there was some great comedy back then that a lot of people didn't watch, or it was just too dirty at that time.
Yeah, and those Rodney specials, that was like the comedy boom. Like,
yes.
Oh yeah, I practically my parents had an HBO subscription when I was a kid, so I had those just taped on VHS like as a kid, and I would watch those all the time. And my parents were like, he doesn't know what the jokes mean. And now that I'm a comedian, like, oh, we might have made a mistake there.
Oh, we knew. It was like same. That's when I found like Andrew Dice Clay and guys like that. I'm like, wow. But over the years, I mean, at that time, it was dirty comedy. And then I found, Cheech and Chong and George Carlin and all the greats. So
it's a different kind of dirty.
Yeah, it's grungy. I eventually went to see Cheech and Chong at Eagle Mountain Casino in Porterville with my grandma. And she was in a wheelchair. She's very old at the time. And she laughed so hard the entire time. I was like, Grandma, you got something to tell me? Like, but anyway,
Grandma's got a good sense of humor. That's what it is.
Right. No, she was hilarious.
A little green thumb.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a green thumb. Maybe.
What were those candies you took in, Grandma?
Yeah.
Okay, so since you're back into the scene now, newly back into the scene, are you just at open mics for people who want to actually go see you, or do you have shows that you can shout out real quick?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be at Rooster's Honky Tonk on the 11th, 2 Wednesdays from today.
Okay,
I'll be.
Is that with our guy Jay Bird? I'm assuming
with Jay Bird, yeah.
Nice.
So Jay Bird graciously booked me on his show there, so I'm gonna be doing a feature set there. Which you should be doing a feature set there too, because he won the little. They do like a quick draw open mic. So
I forgot I won that last
one.
You're
the winner that he was talking
I have
about.
To talk to I have to talk to Jay Bird about that. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. But no, actually, the other big one, guys, is for those of you who want to see two of the nicest comics be absolutely brutal and mean to each other. Andrew and I here are on the very first roast battle that is coming back to the Well Comedy Club, April 12th. So check out Well Comedy Club.
I didn't even know we were doing roast battles now.
It's back. This is the first one back. Anthony Rivers just started it. He just booked it, like a week ago? I think he booked all of us.
Yeah, something like that.
So
and they paired us up.
So okay, is this just going to be 2-on-2 all the way through? Is
2-on-2
a tournament thing?
One-on-one.
One-on-one.
I'm sorry, one-on-one.
Yeah, one-on-one all the way through. Usually they do 1-minute rounds, and then they'll have a panel of judges deciding who wins. Usually they'll have a comic or two opening up the show before that, but it should be an awesome time. I think doors are at 6. Either doors are at 6 or shows at 6, but either way, check out the wellcomedyclub.com.
Fantastic.
And Jokes on You roast battles.
Okay. And you said that's in April?
That's in April. April 12th.
April 12th.
Fantastic.
It really sucks because I really like Trevor, but I'm going to be very mean to him.
As you should.
Yeah.
As you should. You have to go out for blood in these types of situations, man.
I feel like we're already starting to cook stuff up, so it's going to be fun.
Oh, this is great. I didn't even know the Well was doing roast battles like that. Were we doing that before you guys moved locations?
Yes.
Yep.
Rivers was doing them. I want to say like every other month. I'd been on one or two.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it'd been a while since I'd been on, because usually he tries to call me like a week or like 2 or 3 days before, like, hey man, I need a replacement. Can you come in? I'm like, dude, I told you got to give me a week. I need time to let the jokes percolate.
Yeah, man. Like that when I found out it was in April, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna have 400 jokes by now. They're gonna be like, if we're having to go hour for hour.
Hey, that might be a good thing though. You never know.
Yeah.
So you said you were a baseball fan. Dodgers.
Yankees.
Yeah,
I'm a self-hating Yankee fan, man. I was 5 years old. I watched the Pride of the Yankees.
Nice, good choice.
Garrick movie, and then they won.
What are you laughing at over there?
And they won 4 out of 5 World Series.
After hearing all the things you watched as a kid, I'm just like, did your parents only have Turner Classic Movies in your house? Was that it?
Honestly,
we used to rent stuff from the library. So we would go to the library. Yeah, we'd go to the library, and I'd rent like VHSs, and it would be either heavyweights, because I wore out their heavyweights.
I get it, Dad. I had a cheap dad too. I get it.
Yeah, that's how it works. So, but yeah, I got Pride of the Yankees, and then they won 4 of the next 5 World Series. So
you just kind of ran with it. No, that makes sense. That makes absolute sense. So you get a lot of grief though living here in California.
Yeah, and honestly, like I deserve it, man. That's like the team that's the furthest away from me.
No, it's true.
So,
but how do you feel that the Dodgers have kind of adopted what the Yankees were doing at that time?
It's hilarious because I've spent my whole life hearing from Dodger fans that the Yankees buy
championships. Absolutely.
And I'm like, hey, just so you know, everybody who's won a championship bought that championship. Mm-hmm. Some of them bought it for less money. You know what I mean? But everybody, that's what you do. You pay players that you think are going to win. And then the Dodgers started doing it, and all the Dodger fans are like, they have amnesia out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
I never told you that.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about? That's baseball. That's how it always works.
Yeah.
Well, it's always good to meet somebody that's not a Dodger fan, because I'm rubbing elbows with Dodger fans everywhere.
At this point, I just assume, being in California, that if you say I'm a baseball fan, Dodgers, yep, that sounds about right. Like, I'm a Phillies fan, so I hear it all the time too.
You're very similar.
Exactly. But obviously, you're in good company here. You won't have to worry about that. Nobody here's going to give you grief for it. Any other
Dodger
sports
fans here? Not a Dodger fan
absolutely
here.
not.
What are you?
I'm a Mariners fan.
Yep.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Newly adopted, but we are getting him on the Cal Raleigh train. I got to get you a jersey. I forgot about that. We're going to get you a World Baseball Classic Raleigh jersey.
Well, every jersey I buy, my team usually trades or cuts him, so I just stay away from jerseys.
Why do you think I said the World Baseball Classic? Right. You can't trade away the World Baseball Classic.
Might as well just get a Griffey one.
I am a half a Dodger fan, so I'm going to keep my contempt to a low rumble. That's what I'm going to do.
That D on your head says otherwise.
Okay,
sir.
That's why I say half a Dodger. I was raised a Dodger fan.
Speaking of which,
but I
going
became
Francisco Rodney here.
That's what that's the way I do it. That's just how I do things. I try and keep it a little. That's why that's why I'm trying to convince Dan to get the flat brimmed Well Comedy Club hats, not the bent ones. So I'm like, dude, once you get me a flat build one, I'm in. I'm wearing it all day.
Oh my lord!
You come with the raised truck.
Yeah, that's actually true.
He's half Tigers fan, and the other half is Mexican.
What other sports did you grow up watching? I know you said you were a sports guy.
Yeah. I love MMA quite a bit. I wasn't like early to where like I was watching Hoist Gracie when the first one, but like I got in
GSP era.
Yeah. And
that's about when I got in as well.
I was really big on the forums. I was like, I worked at a bank, and I would I was an awful employee, and I would sit there and argue with people about like, no, you guys don't understand. Connor's Floyd isn't going to ruin Connor's career, and then he did, and I was completely wrong. But and then
the money is what ruined Connor's career.
100%. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
I just love the idea of you like doing a bank transaction for someone and then you having like this really angry face while you're on the boards and someone's like, did something happen to my credit?
Yeah, my boss would come up behind me and I'd like be asking for something. I'm just like arguing with somebody over something stupid, just like inconsequential, you know.
Ronda Rousey will not lose this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, it was better before the Reebok deal.
Oh.
I like seeing Condom Depot on people's shorts.
What do you take on Mayweather's unretirement?
It's a farce. I mean, Floyd Mayweather is the biggest grifter in sports, and he was when he was really good too, because he would convince everybody, "Hey, this is going to be a really good fight. You guys should watch this."
Well, that's what he's doing right now. He's got us believing him versus Tyson is going to be worth watching.
I know, and Tyson is 90 years old and addicted to magic mushrooms. You know what I mean? So like, but Floyd always tells everybody like, "Hey, you know, there's real bad blood here. I don't think we like each other."
He's so full of it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's what's selling boxing right now, I guess. Though, I mean, we talked to our guys at Warm Up Athletics last week about it, but I personally don't like it just because he's coming back and taking the spotlight from somebody who deserves it. But at the same time, if it gets people talking about the sport again, I guess
that spotlight gets a lot brighter when he put his name on it. But
absolutely.
within 2 weeks, all of a sudden he's got 3 fights booked. I'm like, what? Is he bankrupt? Like,
that's what I want to know. You're taking on a kickboxer, and then Manny Pacquiao, and then at some point in time in between, then you're taking on Mike Tyson. So he had to have gone broke or something.
Yeah.
Or Netflix just threw an unbelievable
amount of money at him. Yeah, that's true too.
The other interesting one is Usyk versus Rico Verhoeven that's coming up. Rico Verhoeven's a Dutch kickboxer that is like one of the baddest dudes on the planet. So like kickboxing to boxing is probably an easier transition than MMA to boxing. I still think Rico's probably going to get his butt kicked, but I rather watch that than this Floyd versus Manny situation.
Yeah.
And then but the interesting thing in boxing and in combat sports right now is that the people who are making the big headlines aren't the like you talked about, like the guys who are like the main guy. Like right now, Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano is going to happen.
Another one that I was scratching my head, but at the same time, as Ronda said, if there was somebody I was going to come back to fight, it was going to be Gina.
That makes sense for her, like whatever. But she also used to talk about how she got hit in the head too much and her brain isn't working anymore. And it's like, okay, so you're coming back to fict. That's cool.
Yeah, that's your decision.
Yeah, more brain damage.
The WWE didn't help you not figure out how to do that, apparently.
Exactly.
I agree. Like it is weird, but I like when you see the Jake Pauls and the Ryan Garcias and all that taking over the industry. I mean, I thought that was going to be a good thing because you're going to be touching or at least interacting with a younger audience.
Yeah.
But obviously the rest of boxing world is against me on that thought. I don't understand why we're all talking up this Mayweather thing so much, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, the Mayweather thing, it was a bad fight when they did it when they were 10 years younger than that.
Right. Absolutely.
Like and
now what are they, 45 and 49? Something like that.
I just hope it has all the intensity of a street fight between two old Russian men. That's what I hope.
That's what it's gonna be. Somebody's gonna hit somebody with their cane.
Well, I mean, how long has Manny been out too? Because he's doing the politics thing.
Well, he actually just recently fought last year.
Oh, did he really? Okay.
He fought the guy who Ryan Garcia just beat. So the guy who was the champ, it was like for the WBC championship, and he had a draw with the guy who was the champion.
Oh, okay, so he still got it then.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Floyd doesn't have it anymore, but it's just the thought of this just is so odd to me that we're all going to be paying probably upwards of $60 to $150 somewhere in that area to watch two 40 to 50-year-old men fight each other.
It's just it's just a way, like, even if it's just a Netflix membership, I'm gonna steal that fight. I'm gonna,
we're not paying for this.
We're going for Stream East on that one immediately.
My god,
I just hope it's a big card, because I mean a lot of these bigger ones at the big names, I don't watch for that. I mean usually the the second, third fights are the better fights.
Mhm.
It's just
Especially
like a lot
the
of these-
women ones.
Yeah,
Exactly.
The women's fights
have been
before you
fantastic.
usually are fantastic.
And
yeah.
that's a really good thing that Jake Paul did is he started
Mhm.
bringing in like he used it to prop up Amanda Serrano.
And that's why we're getting Gina and Ronda too, is because of Jake Paul's promotion.
Yeah. So I think he's been really smart with this stuff. I'm sick of him beating up my favorite MMA fighters. So he needs to stop doing that. Like Jake Paul beating up Nate Diaz really like changed the way that I look at the world.
The Paul brothers just both need to realize that the real money is that people want to pay to see them get beat up. That's
Well,
where the
no,
real money
Logan
is.
knows that, and that's why he's in the WWE.
No,
right
I'm saying
now.
both. Logan needs to teach Jake that, like, dude, the money's in us getting beat up. That's
think
where the
if-
money is.
I think eventually you're going to see both of them in wrestling,
Oh,
just because it's a cash cow for both.
Mhm.
But I asked this to the boxing guys last week. I'll ask this to both of you. Do you think there's going to be a day where we see a mixed card promotion? So one that has both boxing and MMA in it at the same time. Or maybe, I'm sorry, not at the same time, but like, like the WWE, you got the MMA cage up there, comes down and
Yeah.
locks in, and then it goes back up for a boxing match.
I think there's a very good chance you see that. And the only reason I say that is because Zuffa boxing is getting big now. That is so Dana White and all of them that figured out how to do the MMA thing.
Yeah.
And they basically Vince McMahon MMA because Vince McMahon, all the territories were around and he was like, no, we're going national. I'm just going to own everything. And I'm going to sign Jake the Snake and I'm going to sign like everybody from around the country. That's what Dana did with MMA. I think he's probably going to do the same thing with boxing. They just signed a really big boxer. Forgive me, I can't remember who it was, but he's like one of the top free agents in boxing. So I would not be surprised if they did a mixed card at some point, just because Dana's like scrambling to find like or doing a freaking MMA fight on the lawn of the White House.
So
So
it's probably be in the White House.
And they're going to lose money on that too, from what I understand.
A lot
I
of
was
money.
reading in on that. They're losing a ton because of just all the stuff they have to do to actually make this work for the Secret Service and everybody and security wise. There's going to be very little actual people there at the event from what I understand.
It's like invite only.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna. He said they're gonna make some money off of sponsors, but they can't sell tickets. Like that's why there's no way Conor McGregor's gonna be on the fight.
No way. And I was thinking
the one
that
that ruined it for me.
Yeah. And again, I don't know who he's going to get to be on this card outside of just like up and comers that want to make a name for themselves. Because that's what you're getting with this fight is instead of getting the cash that you would usually get, you're getting the name recognition of being the guy. Oh yeah, you were the guy who knocked out the Brazilian at the White House.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be what you're doing this for, not necessarily for the cash flow. So
yeah, you could get John Jones because John Jones versus Alex Pereira
and he
would be
loves
sick.
Trump.
Yeah,
he loves Donald Trump, so he would kill to fight in front of the guy.
Yeah,
so.
and he's like he's the
is
greatest
the
American fighter ever. So like
I agree.
I think he would be cool, and he's expensive, but he's not Conor expensive. You don't have to make too much money back. Like I went to a Bellator card back in the day that was kickboxing and and MMA. And they'd have to do it different than the one I went to because we didn't it was in San Jose. We didn't leave till like 2 a.m. Like,
oh my god!
It was because like it was pretty awesome. Like Joe Schilling was on the card, and like I saw Aaron Pico and like all that. Like it was like Benson Henderson versus Patricio Pitbull in the main event of that, and then like Kevin Ross fought with Gina Carano was there. She was hammered.
That's great.
I'm gonna break this news. I stood next to a hammered,
not
Gina
the lady
Carano.
from Mandalorian.
she likes to drink. What?
She had like swollen wine face. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, doesn't her family own Caesar's Palace or something
I
like
don't know,
that?
dude.
Like her family's rich.
That's
they really
crazy.
are. They're huge. So it wouldn't surprise me that she was having the time of her life with this card.
Yeah.
From what I could gather, though, you're a wrestling fan as well.
Yeah, I actually have a wrestling podcast.
Do you
Nice.
really?
Yes.
Pump it up. What's the name?
It's called Wrestling Over Everything. I had to think for a second before. It's called Wrestling Over Everything. Basically, the premise of the podcast is my friend is like wrestling Rain Man. He knows everything about wrestling.
Nice.
And he teaches me the history of wrestling as we go. So like we just finished a series on 1999 Stone Cold versus The Rock at WrestleMania. But it's kind of the whole run of like Vince winning the Royal Rumble and all that stuff.
Oh, you're speaking to my heyday, man.
Exactly. And then then this week that we just released a podcast. This shows you like the range that we just released a podcast on Ric Flair versus Harley race in 1983.
Nice.
Very cool.
So like,
Nice.
I love professional wrestling. It's
So do we. We talk about it extensively,
Yeah.
even though some of our listeners probably hate it, but it is what it is.
sorry guys.
What'd you think of this weekend?
I actually haven't seen this weekend.
You haven't watched it.
All I know is that Seth Rollins was the guy. I'm sick of the dude in the black.
See,
There was 3 of them.
there's
there's
3
three of
different
them.
ones. One of them was a student of Seth's, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
But that was one of my things that I had winners and losers from this weekend's Elimination Chamber. One of the biggest losers to me is the masked man gimmick. I think fans are so fed up with this now that we never want to see this gimmick ever used again.
You can almost hear the whole crowd go, "Okay,
Yeah,
like it's
like,
another
can we
match."
please
Man.
get this over with? And then finally, of course, he takes the thing off and it's in this time. So
Yeah.
we all knew it was coming, but I figured that's why they needed somebody in the Vision during this match.
Yeah.
Because obviously it wouldn't have made sense for Seth to just come in and unmask himself for no reason.
Yeah, and I know Logan was in that match. I think Logan's super good.
I do
is.
too.
It was like
He
it almost sucks that he's
People
really
hate
good.
it when I say it. and
No,
I'm like,
he's good. He is very good at what he does.
Yeah. And they figured out a way to make people bummed out about Danhausen, which stinks, you know. You know what I mean?
I haven't gotten a chance to actually explain to people who Danhausen was, because the pure amount of text messages I got on Saturday when he came out saying, "Who the F is this?" And like, why are we seeing this? Is the lamest thing ever. I'm sitting here like, you guys do not understand what you're about to get into.
Trevor, do you know Danhausen?
I see. I took a while off from wrestling, so yeah, I don't know
Danhausen is just he's a indie wrestler, really, that got huge during COVID.
Yeah,
but
he's like a vampire. Like he calls it. I don't even know.
See, I'm not
he calls
that deep.
everybody cursed.
Yep.
He's a comedy wrestler.
Okay, yeah. See, I'm not that into indie wrestling. I think Joe Hendry is about as far indie as I go.
Hey, where is he? You just said his
yeah,
name.
he's gonna pop up
he's
somewhere.
like
I've already
Beetlejuice, though.
tried.
Don't
I've
say it
already
too many
tried.
times.
No, the way I like to explain this, guys, it's like, think if there was a wrestler with Plankton's personality in the Addams Family.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay, yeah.
he's very
Okay.
evil, but he's also so polite that he is not a threat to anyone, really. And like he said, he just walks around cursing people, and usually something happens later on down the line that actually vindicates.
I
He's
might have
toxic.
to check that out, because I'm an Orange Cassidy guy, so I could be into that.
And him and Orange Cassidy actually were tag partners in
Yeah.
AEW not too long ago.
He carries around a jar of teeth.
He does.
So okay,
That's
yeah, no, I
that's his
definitely-
finishers. It's
Wow.
called the Good Nighthausen, which is essentially a GTS, but he has a thing of teeth.
Yeah, in real life, he's he loves wrestling, but he also is obsessed with like The Simpsons and Conan O'Brien, and like
Okay.
so he just made the most ridiculous wrestling character that he could, because
That seems like something that the Conan staff would come up with.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
And the face paint and all of that got him so big during the 2020s. I'm sorry that he even trademarked it before Sting trademarked his. Like, that's the crazy part about it, is that it every time anybody sees him, they automatically look at me and say, you know, that reminds me of Ghost, like the band Ghost. But it's just, this guy is so interesting. I can't wait to see what some
that
of
is
the,
excellent.
like-
Andrew Idell's showing me a photo of him right now. And that
Absolutely.
is that is
the
fantastic.
pure
I'm gonna
amount of
check this guy out.
comedy you're about to get in the WWE, which is a wide open lane right now. I think this is going to be a great thing for them. Plus, the money that's going to come from this is stupid.
Yeah,
this
he'll
guy
sell
is
a lot of merch.
marketing. He's a gold mine. He really is.
he'll sell a lot of merch.
Absolutely. I was shocked they actually booed him. Like, I wasn't shocked, I guess, because everybody was expecting somebody bigger. But like, for Chicago to boo him, I was like, oh, this is not going to be good.
That's why I said they found a way to make everybody upset about it, because like I think people would have been happy about it. They did a what's in the box thing with Danhausen, so they like. For a long time, there was a box, and people had to like try to figure out what was in the box, and they thought it was going to be Chris Jericho, right? A lot of people thought Chris Jericho was coming back, and it opens up as stinking Danhausen. He's got like dancers walking
coming
out.
It's the Monster Man.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm not
oh
gonna
my
lie. I was
gosh.
looking at each of those dancers and say, okay, which one of the NXT girls are you?
I know, yeah.
Like, which one is that getting
Just
roped
like-
into this?
Just like when there's a doctor getting beat up on WWF, you're like, okay, what jobber wrestler is that guy?
Exactly. It's like, oh, is that Tommaso Ciampa?
Yeah.
My God.
I mean,
Oh wow,
not-
no way, Jose. I didn't know he had his degree.
Yeah, not getting over in Chicago and coming out of a box, Corny would lose his
Well,
mind.
and you would love this guy. He's from Detroit, so
Oh
he's
man,
a
okay.
Detroit born and raised. So
How have
love
I
this
not
guy.
heard about him yet? What's wrong with me? What am I doing?
He's a 13-year vet, but he really only got big during COVID.
Yeah.
During that
Yeah, he
entire
got really big
stretch
during COVID.
in 2020, and then he got so big, AEW just had to sign him, and they've really botched him for the last 2 years, so he hasn't really been used at all.
Okay, that's why I haven't. That's why I haven't paid attention to him.
Absolutely. We have run out of time, though, gentlemen. We appreciate you guys for yours. One more time, Made You Laugh Mondays.
Made You Laugh Mondays, every Monday at Firehouse Rosedale Station. Come out for comedies, or come out for the burger special, stay for the comedy. Signups are at 6:30, but if you want to start hanging out at 6, that's awesome. And the show is at 7.
Fantastic. Are you going to be there tonight?
I will be there tonight. I'll be doing however long they let me do.
Yeah, he'll Andrew Idell will be our featured comic tonight, so he'll get a bonus extra long set
Oh,
tonight.
nice.
Oh,
Cool.
sweet. Sounds good.
I just found out about that. I'm nervous. I'm just kidding.
Well,
We're having a
gentlemen,
great time.
thank you guys so much for your time. We appreciate it. Andrew, thank you so much for coming, man. Anytime you want to come on and pump up the podcast, you are more than welcome to do so.
Bring in Rain Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We certainly need listeners, so
We
I do
talk-
appreciate
No,
that.
absolutely. We talk to our guy KG about wrestling every single Tuesday, so
Okay.
feel free to reach out. We would love to have you guys on. We can maybe do a whole collab thing, have all of us on at the same time.
Oh, dude, yeah, I think my guy would love that. I'd love that. That'd be great. You guys, I had a great time today. Thank you very much.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
man. Let's take a break. On the other side, we got our guy Snacks talk all things basketball. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. Well, thank you guys Trevor from Mid-July Mondays, as well as Andrew coming in. Time to talk all things basketball with our guys Snacks. There's tons and tons to talk about ahead of March Madness.
Before we get into any crazy talk,
What's happening?
what do you think about the Joker?
Oh my God, yes.
Joker turning
That's
Joker.
actually
Snacks.
one of my notes. That's one of my notes to bring up a Snack. What did you see this stare down between Joker and Williams over the weekend, my friend?
I missed that one.
You didn't? Oh, dude, you gotta find this. This man's got a screw loose. He does. Just the look in his eyes looked like he was about to kill a man. And I'm not sure what was said, but
he tripped him. He got tripped, and he
you don't
turned
mess
around.
with Joker anymore. Apparently,
I thought he was soft in the. But
Shoot.
yeah, there's another chapter of that fool because he looked crazy.
I knew he wasn't soft. Just looking at his brothers, you could tell they won't let him be soft. But I didn't think he had that in him. Like that looked like a man that was ready to just wail on somebody. He should be in the MMA. Let's just put it that way, because the look was menacing enough. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. Anybody that's more excited to spend time with the horse and have a crazy sibling like such as his brother, I don't really.
I'm telling you, his brother. Well, multiple. Didn't he have multiple brothers, or was it just one?
No, he has multiple, but it's the one that always gets the attention.
Yeah, the crazy ones.
The crazy one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the crazy one.
The other story that I wanted to talk to you about was just something we brought up last week. Did you see the story about Chris Bosh and the lucky to be alive situation?
Yeah, it was him, Chris Bosh, and it was another. Odom had another one.
Lamar had one too. I missed this.
Yeah, he was talking about just happy, like when he went through his whole illness thing. He's just happy to be here as well. Some in that same sentiment. So I don't know what's going on.
Dude, the first thing that popped up into my head was the blood clot thing. And like maybe, something happened where one rushed to an area of his brain where it shut him down and the fall caused the blood. But to pass out while you're getting ready for a date with your wife and then wake up in a pool of your own blood, that's got to be traumatizing for anybody.
Yeah.
And just the thought that we could be talking right now as if this man was no longer on this planet. I mean, what do you make of it? I mean, is there anything that Chris could really do to look after himself at this point? Or is this just now a ticking time, or I don't want to say time bomb, but a clock ticking down?
Yeah, it's one of those things, man, you got to put in God's hands. I mean, I know we talk basketball, but if we get off the scale a little bit, it's kind of like the backup quarterback in Colorado that, that passed away in Colorado. It's
Talked about that this morning.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's tough, man. And I kind of try and preach to a lot of my friends because they ask me, man, you never seem like you're mad. You always smile. And I'm like, bro, once you reach your happy and your peace, make it become undefeated because it's hard to get to. And it's things like that kind of just take you away from it. And you don't want to wait to those moments like to appreciate life. So it's just one of those things you pray about it, you put in God's hands and hope for the best.
Absolutely.
Really.
Amen.
I don't know. I mean, I'm no doctor. So when you when you're dealing blood clots, I do know that's a very serious matter, but what can we do before we get to blood clots?
Right.
Or how can we enjoy life before blood clots is what I always kind of try and preach to those that I love around me.
Well, speaking of undefeated, I mean, the team like the Spurs go undefeated for a month, and I believe it was the first time a team has went undefeated. I think there was a minimum of 10 games, but every win was 110 points plus. I mean, and then they turn around and lose a game like that. I was like, okay, well, back to reality. This is a time that you could take a loss like this, right before the playoffs and kind of build off that. Do you think that's something that a team like the Spurs, I mean, they're young, they can kind of build on this and going into the playoffs, that might be just the slap in the face they need?
Yeah, I always think you need a wake-up call going into the playoffs. That's for any level, college and most definitely in college, but in NBA, I mean, you can always tell in the NBA when the playoffs are right around the corner. Teams play a little different. Everybody all of a sudden not hurt anymore. The starters are playing a little bit longer. And so they just got a better juice out of New York. New York is about to, come around. I'm sure they'll go on a bit of a streak here. So I would, when I played, I never really wanted to go undefeated as good as it sounded because at some point you're going to get humbled, and you don't want to get humbled at the wrong time late in the season. So I'd rather have an L during the season than when we get to the playoffs, having to fight back harder. So, and have that humbleness earlier, so we know what it tastes like, we know what it looked like, and we know how to go get it coming up in the playoffs.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of this, the Knicks did a fantastic job defensively against the Spurs. Do you think that this could be a finals preview? Could we be seeing the Spurs and the Knicks at the end of all of this?
No, man. I'm sticking with Detroit right now.
Are you
Detroit
really?
Yeah, Detroit is giving us that old what do they used to call Detroit Pistons back in
the Bad Boys?
Yeah, they give me that grit, that grime, that we don't care, we're not scared of you.
Basketball might need that, though. Basketball might need that mentality.
Now, I can see the Knicks and the Pistons, whoever comes out of that, I think will win the whole thing. If everybody can stay healthy, that's always the key thing.
I know the injuries have been a big concern right now. I mean, we just heard, Steph's going to be out a bit longer, the same thing with Joel, which is not a big surprise, but do you think we just talked about all these teams that we think are going to be in the finals and didn't bring up OKC for the first time. Is that something you think that they can get healthy and get back into the mix?
Yeah, I think you have to. That's the only way you can make it through the playoffs is being healthy. I say it every year. The healthiest team wins, no matter how much talent, how much gift, how much star power you have. The healthy,
clicking.
Yeah, whoever can make it to the end healthy, and that's what happened last year. OKC, their main pieces remain a bit. I mean, it's a sport, so you're gonna be banged up, bruised up, and nicked up, but they remain more healthy than everybody else. And granted, they were just better than everybody last year.
Absolutely.
But I think the Pistons are just bringing back that old, we coming to get you. We don't care who you are. We'll fight everybody if we have to. We don't. It just anybody in the East, you're gonna have to go through the Pistons for right now, is what I see. And so it's not. If we can get that out of New York, we get a little bit of old NBA back.
Love that. I think that is desperately needed right now, especially with so many coming in that I mean, I've said it multiple times. I think there's an attitude problem with a lot of basketball players nowadays. And I was going to bring this up later, but the USC guard is another one of these instances where I am trying to wrap my head around whether this is an attitude situation or just him trying to keep himself healthy through this entire push into the draft. But before we get into that, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was the other side of the coin of the NBA, which is this tanking situation. They have now sent out league officials to Utah to double check Lauri Markkanen's availability and his injury just to make sure the Jazz aren't tanking. Do you think that this is kind of excessive of the league to go out of their way to double check if a team is tanking or not? And is this what we're going to be expecting now from the league with every team that looks like they are just bad?
I think it's a phenomenal thing that the league is doing. They should have been doing this,
really
tracking and double checking, micromanaging teams. Yeah, because it's unfair to us, man, as fans. Like, we've been following this game for a long time, and all of a sudden, these new breed of I call them new humans, the new generation, but they it's way too much entitlement. They have way too much say so. I don't want to play, but I'm making $40 million. What do you mean? This is what you get paid to do. So I actually like the fact that they're going out and, okay, let's see if you're really hurt. Pull up your doctor. Because it's been happening for too long, man. People are spending all this, and we talk about it all the time. Fans are spending all this money to go see their favorite player, and you sitting at the end of the bench or coming out 5 minutes into the first period. Like, come on, man, give us a break.
True. I for some reason feel like some teams are warranted in tanking because they're not going to be good anyway. And some of the fans that I've heard have cried and said they want their teams to tank just so they can get a better draft pick.
Well, if you're not good, you're going to tank anyway.
True.
So, I mean, you're going to lose. You're going to go into the game losing anyway because you just don't match the talent of the other team. So you don't really need to force yourself to tank. Just go out and play the game and be competitive. If you lose, you lose. You win, you win. But don't make it obvious.
True,
yeah. Where people are like, I don't even want to watch this. Like, they're not even trying, or he's purposely turning the ball over, or this person is sitting out. Like, it's not fair to the fans. And that's what sports is all about. Is now sometimes fans can get out of place and think they're too in tune with some of these sports, but at the end of the day, it's about the fan. At the end of the day, it's about entertainment. So.
And even with that, I mean, it's not fair to the fans. It's also not fair to the teammates on your team. Right. You know what I mean? Because there's always going to be that next guy up that wants to be in that game and play his hardest. So, I mean, I don't understand it. I know they're trying to make a big deal out of it. I mean, personally, in NBA, it's a team effort, and I think the better teams win. But I've also seen, my Bulls last night or this weekend, they hadn't won a game all month, and then they turn around and beat Milwaukee with 15 guards. And I'm like, okay, well, it's hard to watch, and I know they're playing hard. I know they're not tanking, but they put a team together that knows that they can't beat a lot of these teams, especially in a series.
Right. And that's what I see the same thing with the Jazz, although they have some pieces that are building. I just don't see the Jazz as a threat or as one of those teams that you really should be cracking down on for the tanking situation. Now, granted, I agree with you. They don't want to see these teams lose by 20 or 30 every night. But who on this team could you honestly say would be the game changer that would make that not happen? You know what I mean? And if Lauri Markkanen is really hurt, it's just a weird thing. I kind of just agree with Mark Cuban that in some cases tanking's not always the worst thing. But I don't know, maybe I'm out.
If you can use one team as an example to give other teams a heads up, hey, we coming for you. True. Why not do it to a team that's nobody really paying attention to or really care that much about? Because I don't know when is the next time we're going to see a superstar in Utah.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. That's absolutely fair. I think they were hoping Ace Bailey was going to be that next guy, but I haven't seen that yet so far in his rookie season. So shifting over to college ball, though, my friend, before we get into March Madness, have you seen the story about the USC guard leaving the team?
Yeah, we actually have one do that at CSUV this week here.
Really?
It's the same exact thing. Just got subbed out. And I guess one of the teammates was trying to talk to him. He just walked off the floor, grabbed his stuff, and left the building.
Excuse me, I'm going home.
Well, okay. So what do you make of this? Do you kind of agree that this is kind of an attitude issue that we're seeing, or maybe these guys just know it's not going to work out in this college; it'll work out somewhere else? I mean, Mazzara was on his 5th school in 6 years, so obviously he has no issue packing up his stuff and moving to a different city.
Yeah, that's all I need to hear.
Right.
Like, in college sports, there's no more loyalty. Fans might as well get rid of loyalty. There's no more loyalty. There's no more school spirit or trying to learn fight songs. These kids don't care about the school. They just care about, are you paying me? I want to produce enough so I can move on to the next big school. Unless you gonna keep paying me enough, there's I don't even know if they go into class anymore.
Well, no, we all know that.
We brought that up last week.
We all know they ain't going to class.
Aren't they getting free schooling?
Well, and you just kind of hinted at it right there. It used to be what school can get me to the next level, to the professional game. But most of these guys now are thinking, what school can get me to the next school? What school can get me to the next level in terms of like going from, like this guy did, Duquesne to San Diego State. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's just a weird thought.
Well, the crazy thing is talking to a lot of the college coaches that I know, I asked them what's the biggest issue that they're dealing with in sports today. And it's not even the kids. It's the parents. Mm-hmm. And so, which is making it harder to coach the kids because, of course, the kids will go back and start telling how practice went, how things is going. Of course, you're going to tell your parents that you really neglect that. But then you have the parents treating a lot of these, or the managers of a lot of these kids, / agents of a lot of these kids. So, okay, you're not going to give me the $50,000. I'm going to go over here to UC Mercer where they're going to give me $100,000. I mean, so it's way too much entitlement. There's no contracts. There's no rules. So these kids can up and leave. That's what I meant by earlier. There's a ton of entitlement. There's no repercussions. There's nobody being held accountable. And so when you just walk off the floor, it's like, okay. And other coaches are trying to save their jobs. So they're looking over the character of some of these players that's coming from these schools that's doing these characteristics because they're trying to keep their job. They're just looking at what the kid did on the floor. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, I'll bring him in. He averaged 14 and 10. Yep. I don't care if he walked off the floor. We'll change him here. Like,
and
nobody's holding
that's a
accountable.
problem. I mean, that is the problem with the NCAA, not only just basketball, but football and these big sports. I mean, it maybe is it time for them to step in and, whether it's, close some of these windows down the transfer portals, or there's only so many times you can transfer, or maybe even getting some type of bonus for a loyalty bonus. I mean, if you actually stick out your contract, or, I mean, I don't know what the next step is.
I think they're going to have to step in before boosters step in. And what I mean by that is once boosters stop giving money, because boosters already are starting to stop giving money to the NIL situation, because they're getting tired of kids just up and leaving with their money. I give you $4 million as a quarterback, and you just up and leave on the first. You don't play in the bowl game.
Now, who was that? Was that Troy Aikman or something came out and said, "I'm done"?
Yep, he was talking about. I think he was talking about Dante Moore.
Yeah, he was. I mean, but that's just him. There's many more coming out saying, why should I keep giving if these just be here for 1 year and not really produce, and then end up leaving us? And then if he's not on contract or anything, so we just have to pay him. There's no repercussions. So I think the NCAA is going to have to switch up something before boosters stop giving money, and they don't want that at all.
Right. And again, that's the issue too, is the money flow with all of this, because that's why the mindsets have changed. Most of these guys know they can make more in college ball than they can in the professional level now. And why wouldn't you stick around for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years if you know you're going to get paid?
Yeah, and they just passed that where, if you get drafted but you don't sign your contract, you can go back to school.
Yep.
And that's the sucky part. Like, that has to stop. Like, once you play professionally, you cannot come back to college.
That's what I've always said.
That has to stop, because that was kind of like when I went off to school and I played Division II basketball at Missouri Southern State University, and mine was 18, and I had a 26-year-old playing. I was like, "What is he doing here?" Like, how
Taking minutes.
He was built like the strongest firefighter, which is funny because he's a firefighter now. Like, what is going on?
Well, that
has to stop.
I agree, and it just looks bad. It looks bad for the colleges, because you're bringing in these 18, 19-year-old kids, promising them playing time, and then when the 23, 24-year-old that didn't work out in the G League decides he wants to come back and play your position, now what do? You're pretty much out of a job for a whole year. And that's just, it's unfair to the player that has been working his entire offseason in order to get that job. I know we got 2 weeks until Selection Sunday, so we'll have plenty of time to talk about who's actually in the tournament. But any early predictions on who gets in, at least the first seeds?
Arizona, Iowa State, Duke, and I think Houston's going to sneak in at number 1.
Houston's going to sneak in again. They have been a dominant force. We'll have to talk to you about that next week on how this entire thing started with them, because that's one of those colleges that really is just known for basketball, which is wild. But we have run out of time, my friend. Thank you so much for yours. We'll talk to you next week.
I always appreciate y'all, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. We got to get out of here for the day. Thank you guys for joining us. Join us here again, 7 to 9 tomorrow. We'll get into some wrestling with our guy KG. Maybe I'll break down who Danhausen is, and we'll let you know who our winners and losers were from the WWE's Elimination Chamber over the weekend. But until then, we have to go. Sparky, let's get out of here, my friend.